welcome to the latest edition of Explore Richland. I'm Mark Ingham. Well, once again, we find ourselves at Fuse SPC, which is located at 723 The Parkway. Fuse is a business accelerator and a co-working space, but today we are not here to talk about them. Rather, an innovative fund the City of Richland offers its businesses. And it's a fund that Fuse has been the beneficiary of. Joining me now is Mandy Wallner. Mandy is the marketing specialist in the Economic Development Office. Mandy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Now, the City of Richland offers several innovative economic development opportunities to local businesses. And today we want to focus on the Commercial Improvement Program. So where do the funds for this program come from, and how does the CIP work?
Well, the CIP works because of the business licenses that businesses pay to be a part of Richland. Okay. And those fees, the City Council, some years back, designated 22% of those on average go into a fund called the Business License Reserve. That fund each year has applicants that come from several different organizations in town for programming and events and things that happen throughout Richland as a way to help them get off the ground and be successful. So the CIP is one of those applicants every year, and those funds then go into a pool that private businesses like Fuse can apply for.
Now, I was curious if business licenses in Richland, do people have to apply for those each year, or is that a one and done?
It's an each year application, and it's $40 per business for the most part. And then those funds are what's considered part of that average. So they do fluctuate. The fund does go up and down each year, depending on whether we have more or less business in the city. But for the most part, that's been on the rise.
Cool. That's what I was curious about. Now, Mandy, when and how can people apply for CIP funding? And when are the funds awarded?
So the great part about the CIP being the applicant to the BLRF is that those funds become available when the funding happens, which is typically the beginning of each year. And then those funds sit in that program until an applicant comes in. And then once they've been applied for and the Economic Development Committee decides that they're a winner and they're awarded funds, goes through City Council. Once they've approved it, then those funds are available for that business, and it's a matching funds program. So based on their application, they've applied for up to $10,000 that we'll fund. Okay. They match $10,000, and then those funds are dispersed whenever they need them. So as soon as they can prove they've spent the money, we can award it as early as March or April.
Wow. And you touched on it a little bit, but I did want to ask, who decides what projects are funded and how much money each project gets?
So each project needs to have some specific components to it to be able to apply for the funds, and then that application goes through our Economic Development Committee of Volunteers. That group is made up of a lot of volunteer business people that kind of have an idea of how businesses work. And then once they've approved that program, it goes through City Council so that they know what's going on in the city, obviously. And then once City Council's approved it, staff, myself, write a contract with that individual business, and we move forward.
Well, that's great. Now, I wanted to know what businesses have been awarded CIP funding in say, the past 2 years, and how do they use that funding?
Well, there's such an array, so I'll do my best to get the highlights, right?
Sure.
So the Fuse building, where we're at right now, they applied for exterior lighting and signage and some facade improvements, which is primarily what the program is for. So it needs to be visible from a street. The signage at Bombing Range Brewing, which a lot of people I know in Richland are familiar with. The signage at Emerald of Siam was an applicant. Frost Me Sweet, doing their renovations to add on their second space, that's been an applicant. We had Digital Image. We had Richland Family Chiropractic applied. So we've had kind of a range of applicants, typically small business. Perfection Glass was able to utilize it last year when they moved to Richland. So we've tried to find creative ways to use those funds.
Perfect. Well, how does the City of Richland benefit from the CIP program, and why does helping businesses, improve their facades, why is that a benefit to the City of Richland?
Well, I think there's a lot of goodwill as far as benefit, right? It's not necessarily a financial benefit, but then prevention of blight within our city is very important. Buildings get run down and get old, and that's not always a priority for people. They want to improve the inside and their business structure with their profits. But typically, if you're preventing blight and you make your city look better and feel better, then there's general economic benefit, which then, of course, turns into sales tax and other things that do benefit the city directly.
That's great. And I'm curious, is the CIP a competitive funding source? You know, do a lot of businesses apply for this, or do you feel like we can do better promoting it and get the word out?
Well, it's a fund that we would like to grow in the city, which is part of why it's important to get the word out. So historically, we've had enough funds to do what we want to do. It also is something that I can temper back the marketing of when we know that we've spent for the year. And so being that it's early in the year, we have a lot of funds. So I would say we have enough to accommodate 5 to 6 applicants each year, depending on how much money is requested. And then we hope to keep growing that fund in the next few years because it is a priority of the city.
Perfect. Well said. Well, I would like to thank Mandy Wallner for coming on the program and talking to us about
Thank
the
you.
exciting CIP program. Now, if you would like more information on the CIP program or any of the other economic development opportunities offered by the City of Richland, you can do so by logging on to the website below. We've also included the easy, quick link to find that. And don't forget, we are where you are. Find the City of Richland on all the popular social media platforms. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, we'd also like to thank Fuse for hosting us today. If you would like more information on them, you can visit their webpage, and they're also on Facebook. Now, Mandy, I heard they have a full kitchen, so I think we better go raid that before we leave.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it. I'm Mark Ingham. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Explore Richland.